Older Melania is. It's not in this magazine, but it's coming out soon. Would you like to hear Melania's 25 things you didn't know about? 25 things you didn't know about Melania. In Slovenia, I was a catalog model, which is what you call a model you order out of a catalog. I have no first language. I hope I inspire little girls everywhere to marry for money. Oh, that's...
Every scandal tied to President Trump becomes fuel for Bill Maher's sharpest punchlines. But the moment Melania enters the spotlight, the roast turns explosive. The Epstein whispers, the murky financial entanglements, the chaos in Chicago, the so-called big beautiful bills, and the National Guard misfires all collide into one blazing spectacle. Maher fuels the flames with razor-sharp humor that strips away the polished facade, exposing pure absurdity. Together, Trump and Melania stand as larger-than-life caricatures of extravagance and delusion.
Just let them pass like a cloud. Well, maybe that's what we should do with some of Trump's stupid stuff. He took a 747 as a gift? That's not cool. Oh, well. The top military guy is a big drunk? Well, so is Ulysses S. Grant. Maybe it'll work out like that. He's naming the Kennedy Center after... Wait, what? He's naming the Kennedy Center after his wife? That's kind of sweet.
Maher doesn't hold back from skewering the Epstein connection, hammering on how Trump's denials only deepen the suspicion. Each time the president claims he barely knew the man, the contradictions stack higher than the gilded ceilings of Mar-a-Lago. Maher paints Trump as the guy caught at a crime scene, insisting he just happened to stroll by, hands smeared with fingerprints, yet swearing he never touched a thing. The irony, of course, is that Trump always leaves behind a trail of quotes, photos, and associations that shatter his attempts at distance.
Trump says, "Hey, waitress, how'd you like to pay no tax on those tips?" Remember that? And everybody was like, "Why didn't we think of that?" Las Vegas is a town where everybody gets tips, so maybe that's why Trump was the first Republican to win Nevada in 20 years. You know by how much? 50.59%. Because napalm in the morning smells like victory.
Melania doesn't escape the blast radius. Maher dissects her carefully crafted silence, twisting it into a satirical spotlight. He mocks how she manages to appear both detached and complicit at the same time, a figure who never speaks enough to defend herself, yet never fully steps away from her husband's chaos either. Maher jabs that her selective invisibility might be the most effective strategy in the Trump household, though it does little to shield her from the fallout.
Husband, I'm reminded of the Slovenian national dish. a fat, greasy sausage filled with cheese. I once caught Mike Pence trying on my stilettos. Well, my Secret Service code name is That Poor, Poor Woman. And he gave me a bunch of hats, but he didn't ask me to take a picture in one, which I appreciated. The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner shit-tweeted a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome someone to your house.
The Chicago fiasco becomes Maher's next weapon. Trump's attempt to project dominance by flooding the city with military force looked less like presidential authority and more like a dictator cosplay gone wrong. The streets turned into a stage, with Trump demanding soldiers as props in his production. Maher tears into the absurdity, mocking how a man so desperate to appear in control only revealed his weakness with every overreach. He skewers the gap between Trump's staged display of power and the real suffering unfolding on the ground.
Trump never forgets. It's only hypocrisy if you had other beliefs to begin with. In his first term, he signed an executive order banning TikTok and then got trounced by young voters. So in 24, he campaigned on saving it. And apparently every Tide Pod eater responded.
Melania reappears here, not for policy, but for optics. Maher tears into her half-hearted gestures during national crises, noting how they always seem staged by a PR intern rather than driven by genuine concern. Whether it's a rigid hospital visit or a scripted speech, Maher frames her appearances as product placements instead of real human moments. In his satire, she becomes the unwilling co-star in her husband's hollow production.
In his first term, he called cryptocurrency not money and based on thin air and said it seems like a scam. And who better to know a scam? Well, well, that was then. Now he's on more coins than Julius Caesar. Overnight, he became the crypto candidate as opposed to Biden, the crypt keeper candidate.
Maher then takes on Trump's big, beautiful bills, a phrase so overused it practically parodies itself. He mocks how legislation gets sold like real estate, with flashy adjectives hiding weak policy. For Maher, it proves Trump governs like a brand manager, not a statesman, where marketability replaces substance. Melania doesn't escape either. Her polished campaigns, like Be Best, vanish as quickly as they appear, slogans without solutions. Maher highlights the irony of preaching virtue while chaos and scandal erupt just steps away. Finally, the National Guard fiasco adds fuel to the fire. Maher skewers Trump's obsession with using troops as campaign props, painting a brutal picture of soldiers reduced to political wallpaper while their real sacrifice is ignored.
He laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. Because he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know the best thing about him? His hair.
Melania becomes part of the critique, her presence in staged photos beside Trump looking more like rehearsed patriotism than sincerity. The contrast is stark, Trump weaponizing troops while Melania smiles for the cameras, both caught in a spectacle, detached from reality. Maher refuses to let her play the innocent bystander, tying her into the image-making. Epstein resurfaces, this time as proof of Trump's chronic escape from accountability like Houdini, though his trick relies on allies and distractions, not skill. Maher mocks Melania's silence as scandals swirl, sharpening the roast by targeting their shared talent for avoidance. From Chicago's overreach to military exploitation, from empty bills to Epstein's shadow, Maher threads it all into one portrait of dysfunction. Trump as a president obsessed with performance, Melania as a partner guarding the props. Together, they're less a power couple than a vaudeville act, one the audience can only laugh at.
I copied this list from Michelle Obama. Well, sometimes when I bounce light off my diamond, Donald's hair will chase it like a cat. I wish I knew why I have a recurring dream I'm pinned beneath a giant orange sack of shit. And if I could tell my younger self just one thing, it would be this. If you catch a leprechaun and he gives you one wish, be more specific.
Maher zeroes in on the contradictions. Trump calls himself the champion of order, yet thrives on division. He demands loyalty but betrays allies when it suits him. He promises solutions that collapse the moment they meet reality. Melania's silence becomes its own contradiction, a first lady seeking sympathy while refusing to confront the corruption beside her. Together, their contradictions form a duet of hypocrisy. Maher ridicules the obsession with image, likening Trump's presidency to a reality show that ran out of plot. Every scandal feels like a new season. Every photo op a desperate ratings grab, with Melania's staged appearances serving as glossy filler scenes. The irony, Maher notes, is that the act has outlived its audience.
The roast cuts deepest when Trump's grand legacy dreams are contrasted with the reality: scandals, memes, and incompetence. Melania is cast as the reluctant co-star, trapped in a tragic comedy she chose. Maher savages the branding, exposing how every slogan dissolves into farce. Trump markets power like cheap products, and Melania echoes it with curated but hollow gestures.
Ask cops. Why aren't you insulted that Donald Trump thinks so little of you that in city after city he's sending in military troops to do your job? Why doesn't that piss you off? In case you took the summer off from following the news, and who could blame you if you did, America is now a country where, first in LA, then in Washington, D.C., and soon coming to a city near you, the new normal is troops in the streets. The exact thing we've never done here, except for true emergencies, and the thing we most don't want to become normal.
The first half of the takedown works because Maher never lets either Trump or Melania slip away. Trump is skewered for corruption, incompetence, and vanity, while Melania is roasted for her silence, complicity, and hollow image. Every scandal becomes a weapon, every contradiction another nail. Maher's humor doesn't just entertain, it dismantles, showing both as larger-than-life illusions that collapse under scrutiny. He pivots to Trump's financial mess, hammering the civil cases circling like vultures. Maher mocks the inflated property valuations, where Trump claims palaces but banks see fixer-uppers. The roast cuts deeper by tying Melania to this fantasy, portraying her as the spouse who enjoys the illusion's spoils while ignoring its cracks. Their staged marital performances also come under fire. Forced smiles, stiff hand-holding, robotic affection. Maher ridicules their body language as a silent protest, a masterclass in contract over love. The lawsuits keep piling up, and Trump spins every defeat as victory, turning fines and bans into bizarre badges of honor. Melania is tied back in as the serene figure who never speaks, a silent prop in photos while the empire collapses in slow motion around them both.
I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost, and I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad? He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy.
Maher shifts to Trump's campaign chaos, mocking the endless rallies that feel more like therapy sessions than politics. He ridicules Trump's broken record routine, recycling the same grievances, conspiracies, and imagined victories. The absurd loop is skewered, with Melania painted as the absentee co-star, appearing only in brief cameos for a show she's long stopped caring about. Patriotism becomes another weapon. Maher mocks Trump's flag-hugging theatrics as the cheapest form of nationalism, contrasting the staged image with the reality of dodged service, misused troops, and hollowed institutions. Melania doesn't escape either. Her polished outfits and frozen smiles in photo ops are portrayed as props in the spectacle. For Maher, the couple doesn't embody patriotism, they cosplay it for applause. He savages this further by rattling off Trump's mountain of lies, turning every boast into a punchline. Even supporters, Maher jokes, no longer expect honesty. Melania becomes part of that act, her silence framed as complicity, her selective invisibility a strategy to avoid being trapped in the same web of falsehoods.
Here's what happened. Remember DOGE, the Elon Musk-helmed Department of Government Efficiency that brought in a teenage squad of tech geniuses to reduce the size of government and didn't even do that? Well, one of them, a 19-year-old named Big Balls, got jumped in D.C. last month by some other teenagers, one a 15-year-old girl. So Trump called out the National Guard.
Maher skewers Trump's obsession with being the best president ever, mocking how he clings to superlatives as if repetition makes them true. He highlights the absurdity of a man comparing himself to Lincoln while drowning in scandal. Melania is pulled into the satire as her rare public comments echo the same hollow exaggerations, sound bites without substance, crafted to pad an image rather than reflect reality. Maher ridicules their detached luxury lifestyle, Trump vanishing to the golf course as crises erupt, Melania retreating into opulent spaces, both insulated from the nation's pain while pretending empathy through stiff gestures and shallow statements. He paints them as rulers of a golden bubble, glittering on the outside but empty within. The Epstein cloud resurfaces one last time, with Maher hammering how it lingers despite Trump's desperate denials. Photos and testimonies refuse to disappear. Melania, silent as ever, becomes part of the farce, framed in the background of the scandal like a figure in a painting, impossible to erase yet unwilling to acknowledge her place in it.
It's only conspiracy theorists on the right. I can't tell you how many people came up to me around that time. Bill, don't you think that assassination attempt was staged? Staged. You know, walk me through how you could stage a bullet hitting just the tip of your ear from 500 feet away. Yeah, shoot it in my head. I trust you. But just graze me. It's a new shirt. I don't want to get a lot, you know.
Maher slices into Trump's media obsession, roasting the rage tweets, public meltdowns, and desperate grabs for headlines. He mocks a president who treats every news cycle like a battlefield, convinced he can shout his way into history books. Melania is tied in through her occasional interviews, bland defenses, and vague platitudes that sound rehearsed by a press team scrambling to polish disaster. The contradictions pile up. Trump rails against corruption while wallowing in it. He blasts elites while living as the ultimate elite caricature. He claims to fight for the forgotten man while billing taxpayers for indulgences. Melania mirrors the same contradiction, posing as a symbol of dignity while aligning herself with scandal, silence, and spectacle. Maher digs into Trump's obsession with legacy, mocking his fantasy of airports, statues, and history chapters. He imagines a future where Trump's monuments are bathroom graffiti, his name shorthand for incompetence. Melania isn't spared. She dreamed of elegance, but will be remembered for memes, scandals, and a hollow initiative that vanished without impact. The roast crescendos as Maher ties it all together. Trump, the chaotic salesman president, obsessed with image, drowning in scandal, incapable of truth. Melania, the silent partner, complicit through absence, maintaining optics while offering nothing of substance. Together, they're branded the royal couple of farce, ruling over an empire of slogans, illusions, and empty promises. By the end, the grandeur is stripped away, leaving only contradictions exposed. Him desperate for validation, her frozen in silence, both engulfed by scandals that eclipse any legacy. The roast doesn't just land, it leaves a crater.